The first thing I wanted to talk to you about is your choice of items to draw and to study. That's a really important starting point because a poor choice can negatively affect the outcome, what it looks like, the quality of the results, and can quite seriously affect the grade that you're likely to get. So starting with the left hand side, I've just chosen here, gone out to get my natural form piece, and all I've chosen is a stick. Now if you spend a great deal of time focusing on the details of this, it is possible to get a good result, but generally speaking, if you draw the whole thing, it's just not going to give you enough to work on, and it's going to ultimately result in a low grade and a poor mark. So a poor choice to begin with. All of these items, apart from the pepper, were things that I'd got from the garden. This is from the fridge, and all within stepping distance of each other. The next one, we're entering spring, so I've got a daisy. Good choice, very good choice. Close up though, that's a lot of work. Okay, so a very good choice, but it might take you 2 to 3 lessons to get that done to a level that it's acceptable as a high grade piece of work. So there is a saying that there's no such thing as a year 7 project or a year 7 piece of work or a year 11 piece of work or project. It's just the level at which it's done at. So I could give this to a year 7 and they would do a year 7 standard of work. I could give it to an A-level student and they would do an A-level standard piece of work. So good choice, demanding, and it depends on the effort that you take to get the results. So this is something I would choose, but I would be making that choice based on the understanding that I've got quite a bit of work to do to get that done. The next choice is similar to the stick, piece of grass, but instead of just choosing the stalk, I've gone and thought a little bit about the character of the work. So have a look at the work. Is it give you enough to work on to make a good study? Now what I would be looking at would be the joins, the way in which the grass is connected together. Still pretty challenging because there's not a lot to go on. But if I was looking, had a bit of time or was short of time, and I needed to study that, that might be an option, but I need to make sure that I focus on this area only. So perhaps the choice of a twig or a piece of branch on a plant and taking that off would be a better option because it generally has a little bit more going for it. So this stick, if it was a joint and you know, something connecting with it, and especially in spring where they're beginning to bud a bit, might be give me a better option. Moving this, take this one to last. This is something left over from last year. A few plants that were flowers that were not picked. That's a good option. Now if I repeated that, that would give me quite a nice effect of, you know, decay or something like that. So if I wanted a ruined forest or something, giant plants that were decaying, this could be a good option. But again, rather like the daisy, that's a lot of work. I need to make sure the lighting's right, get a good good detail on there, but that nice shape where it overhangs and lies down like it's dying would be good. Good choice. Okay, so that's a possibility. Again, quite a lot of work. So I've got the daisy and I've got the ruined flower. Don't want the stick, not good enough. This is probably not enough work to go on either, so I'd reject that. The pepper gives me several different other options. I spoke about this in the last video, and what's good about that is it could give me a kind of strange landscape, almost a cave-like kind of effect on it. So that's just lying around in the fridge. It's probably not going to get eaten, so you know, it would probably end up in the recycling bin. So I could use that. Now, second thing, looking at how that's now displayed. So the next part of this video will be looking at how you pose these so you get the best out of the drawing. Okay, so what I've got here are a couple of different options of how to display your work. So the first option is just to find some way of propping or supporting your item that you want to draw it, and I would be positioning that in a way in which I could see it, probably worm's eye view, so I'm looking directly at it because I want to show the plant in a way that makes it look large, so I'd be changing the scale according to the rest of the items that I would have in my picture. So I would, first of all, as the first option, just simply get something like the glass. All I've got here is a bit of toilet roll. If I can zoom in a little bit, you might be able to see bits of the detailing once I focus on it, hopefully. There we go. So I'd get the detailing, I would lower my eye view so I can look up at the drawing, and then I would draw that in detail. But the simple thing there, just a glass and a piece of tissue paper. I've also got, because I've been drawing for a while, I have this slightly more elaborate contraption which allows me to focus on to support any object, small object, and then to position that in a way in which I can then draw it. This is actually a model painting for doing details of little tiny models, and then you can paint them, but it's a really good way of posing items so you can draw them or photograph them. So that's another option there. It's a little bit more advanced, but it offers basically the same kind of thing as you would get from supporting it in the plant. Other things to note are that the things I've chosen are probably the worst available objects that you could get if you just went out and just grabbed something. With a bit of thought, you should get much better quality items. This is probably the least best plant as well that I've got in the house. We've got lots and lots of plants, so for me, luckily enough, being an illustrator by trade, I tend to collect a lot of things, including things like plants, so I've got lots of available items that I could use. So if you have things like that in your house as well, then use them. Use the things that are available, but the best of them. So I've made my decision, and I'm going to go with the pepper because it's important at this stage to start looking at what you've already got in your work. Now, if I look at this page here, I've got a study of a tree, I've got some beginnings of backgrounds with the plants and the butterfly that you can just see in the background there, so I'll just zoom in on that there. So that's something that I'm planning to do, but I want something to go around that, so I've got a study that you can just see in the background there where I'm looking at plants and so on and so forth. So I've pretty much got most of what I want, but what I don't have is that cave system that I'm looking for, so that's why I'm going for the pepper. So that works. Looking at the overall page, it's nearly full. It could do with a few other studies, but probably just versions of this final piece here, what might be the final piece. So there's not really enough space to work on there, so at that point it would add some more background things in there, but my study means that I probably need to start looking at other pages. So I'm going to turn that page and see whether there's an option there, and look, there is. There's a blank page. Perfect for adding into my other designs. I've got one small idea there, which because if you know anything about the work I do, it tends to work into several other books. So if I zoom out now, I can start showing the other pages in the books. If I was to cut and paste this into one single sketchbook, you can see now that I've actually got quite a few options. So that's perfect for the idea, and it works in well with the idea of skulls. So if I look at this option here, there's a natural sort of link between the shape of the pepper there and this idea of skulls and open areas of bone and stuff. So that kind of works. So I'm going to work there and probably end up putting it about there anyway and do my drawing. So that's my choice. So the key point here is think about where you should be placing your work in your book. It's not just necessarily the next available empty page. It's probably to build the pages you're already working on. So that would be the next option that you would do. I'm now going to demonstrate doing the drawing, and what you should end up with at the end of this session. So now I've decided I'm going to do my drawing. How you set up the way you draw, again, is quite important. I've turned this so it fits the way in which my hand moves. For this particular one, I just need to place the pepper just directly onto the page, and I'm going to draw with my drawing hand here and the object at that side of the drawing hand. If I was left-handed, the pepper would be over there and I would be drawing this way. So I don't need any other props. The next thing I'm going to do is think about, well, rather than just end up doing a drawing like this and it just fits there on the page, it's not really doing anything, I'm not really thinking about it. I'm going to think about the qualities of the work, and the most interesting part of it is this curve here, this open cave type system. So that's what I want to really emphasize. I'm not really interested in the outside bit too much. So what I want to do is just draw this carefully and emphasizing that open shape. And that immediately makes me start thinking, yeah, that would be great as a painting with some just basic colours. Now that bit goes further up there, so I'm going to drop that later here. The other thing about this is that if things are slightly different on the objects that you're drawing, nobody's going to notice that much. That's why drawing ordinary everyday objects or things that you like this is a lot easier than drawing people, because we know exactly what a person looked like. So if that was their eye and it was there and there was one eye there and one eye there, we would see immediately that there was a problem. Whereas with this pepper, all different peppers, they're all different, who cares? It doesn't look different, it doesn't look unusual. So you get away with more. So all I'm doing here now is just drawing this, the shape. Now that edge there is higher, it doesn't matter, it could go up there anyway, so I'm just going to live with that, that's fine. Drawing that there. Now I said earlier about making a good choice of the work, and some things will take a while. Now if I was drawing the daisy, that would take a while, and I would be aware that I'm going to have to spend quite a bit of time getting it right. Whereas this pepper is going to take not that long, especially because really I just want it to be like a cave system, really, in one of my ideas for the final piece. So it's not going to take that long. So I just need to draw out the basic shapes. I've got this cut here that I'm just going to knock in. It could take a bit of a while if that was important, and I would take a while, but this is just giving me everything that I need. Now, because I want it to be dark and mysterious, I can now start to add my tone into my choice here, and I'm gradually building that up. Again, still looking here, it's darker over this point and it gets lighter over here, but I'm just working on just building that up. Now, if I wasn't on the video, I would definitely be changing the angle of this sketchbook so that I can get into that area more easily and not make mistakes, because I need to fold that over really to get my hand out. So it's a little bit awkward, but I'm going to persevere with it for demonstration purposes. But if I was doing it properly, I would definitely have folded that book over so that I can get my hand into there, turn that round as well, which is what I'm actually going to do. And I'll just move that, fold it over like this, and now I can turn this whole thing around. I know there that I can use that. The other thing about this is the pencil's a little bit short. It's half the pencil, and I always think that if you're using a really short pencil like that, it actually can make life a lot more difficult. So be aware of the quality of your tools, how you're using them, moving the book around like this, and gradually building things up. Okay, so hopefully you've got the basic idea. I'm aware that this might end up being quite a long video, so I will begin to draw it to a close. Key things about here, this is another lesson really, just about how you divide up tones and so on. But the key thing is where you place this, your next object on your book, choices of objects, how you lay it out, how you set it up. Last and final thing I would say, sharp pencil. Generally speaking, it's better to use a sharp pencil. Okay, so your job now is to select your object, place it on the right page in the right book, and then draw it with conviction. And that is basically it. Thank you.